Hello everyone, welcome to Litany of Catholic Martyrs for June 2nd. This is actually for me the 7th Sunday of Easter of 2019. So I offer this mission, this mission and ministry, because I believe that to a certain degree, it's not so much that the church itself, because the church loves its martyrs. It's those who relate the message of the church to us, priests, deacons, and bishops, cardinals. They don't mention the martyrs anymore. For whatever reason, people don't want to face death. They don't want to talk about death. And most importantly, they don't want to talk about sacrifice, willingly giving up your life through the sacrifice of yourself. They don't want to hear about it for the faith. Because people hate the Catholic Church. You know what? Christ says that blessed are those who are hated for the church and not for the church, but hated because of me. And that's right. If you're loved by this world, you've got a problem. So all that being said, I remember these martyrs and all that happened to them and all the sacrifices they did, because through their love of the church, through the spilling of their blood, so grows the church. In the first 400 years of the church, every pope was martyred. Every pope was martyred, slaughtered by pagans. And listen, we're slaughtering children by the millions now. We're no different than those who sacrificed their children to Baal. We're no different. We just couch it, we shroud it, we hide it, we pretty it up in words that make it sound, but in fact, we're slaughtering babies for our own well-being, for our own secular well-being. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a rant there on my soapbox. So, this morning, these martyrs are to be loved, cherished, thought about each and every day, because what they did, in the time that they did it in, during Diocletian and Maximus, and all those Nero, and all those times where all those crazy Roman emperors, and even the Gauls to a certain degree, and the Goths, the Visigoths, they slaughtered Catholics by the millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands. So just remember them today as you go through your day. So let's begin. Don't forget to pray for the families who had loved ones that were martyred on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka. So we began at Rome, the birthday of the holy martyrs Marcellinus, priest, and Peter, an exorcist, who instructed in the faith many persons detained in prison. Under the murderer Diocletian, they were loaded with chains, and after enduring many torments, were beheaded by the judge Serenus, in a place which was then called the Black Forest, which was in their honor afterwards renamed and known as the White Forest. Their bodies were buried in a crypt near St. Tiburtius, and Pope St. Damasus composed for their tomb an epitaph in verse. So I guess he wrote a little poem for him. Nice. In Campania, during the reign of Decius, St. Erasmus, bishop and martyr, who was first scourged with leaded whips, like Jesus, and then severely beaten with rods. He had also rosin, brimstone, lead, pitch, wax, and oil poured all over him without receiving any injury. Afterwards, under Maximian, he was again subjected to various most horrible tortures at Mola, but was still preserved from death by the power of God for the strengthening of others in the faith. There it goes. There you are. Finally celebrated for his sufferings and called by God, he closed his life by a peaceful and holy end. His body was afterwards transferred to Gaeta. At Lyons, many holy martyrs: Fontinus, who was a bishop; Sanctus, who was a deacon; Vesius, Epagethus, Maturus, Ponticus, Biblis, Attalus, Alexander, and Blandina, with many, many others, whose many valiant combats in the time of Marcus Aurelius Antoninus and Lucius Verus are recorded in a letter from the church at Lyons to the churches of Asia and Phrygia. Saint Blandina, one of these martyrs, though weaker on account of her sex and frame and her lower condition in life. So you can't even say this kind of stuff these days because sex and her frame and her lower condition in life. What that means is she was frail like a little bird. She was a female, frail like a little bird. You know, I heard a line in a poem one time say, her limbs were like the wisps of a willow. So think of this small little woman. And when you talk about her lower condition in life, and the poor back then didn't eat very well. So she's probably skinny, maybe even emaciated. So this little tiny thing, she encountered longer and more terrible trials, but remaining unshaken, a tough little girl. She was put to the sword and followed those whom she had exhorted to win the palm of martyrdom. At Rome, Saint Eugenius, Pope and Confessor. At Terni in Terra di Bari, Saint Nicholas Peregrinus, Confessor, whose miracles were related in the Roman Council under Pope Urban II. Remember these men and women and children, all who sacrificed for us, the Church, for we are the Church, and as the Lord goes, as the saints goes, and as the martyrs go, so goes the Church. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you.